And welcome back to the Livingston Parish News Weekly Show, a podcast brought to you by the Livingston Parish News. This is from the cheap seats. It's where I sit down with this gentleman and we talk about what's going on in Livingston Parish athletics. My name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news, and I'm going to let this gentleman introduce himself real quick. Good morning, sir.
Hey, this is Rob DeArmond, sports editor with the Livingston Parish News.
And we got lots to talk about today, so we are going to jump right into it. First and foremost, Denham Springs High School hosts their first ever parish track meet. They had hosted a couple leading up to this, as we found out last week. But you don't often hear about track meets being dramatic, but this one came down to the wire on the boys' side. And then on the girls' side, not so much, but still some good competition. Just the winner happened to pull away in the field event. So let's start with the boys' side first.
Yeah, on the boys' side, we get you wind up with Walker winning its second straight. At one point, I think they were going into, I think it was 17 events scored, and there's a 2-point differential between first and second place with Denham Springs in front. Then they go into the 3,200. Jacob Kennedy takes first from Walker, followed by Peyton Levy. So they go 1-2 in that 3,200. Kind of flips them over, and Walker winds up winning that championship. And then they get to the full rifle, where the last event of the night, Denham winds up winning even after dropping the baton on one of the exchanges. It was an interesting. You kind of stop for a second, and go, yeah, that's not supposed to happen, but they kind of picked it up. Andy McLean said that's a teaching moment. I think the guys kind of didn't realize what actually happened there. It's like, okay, what do we do? Like, you can still go, just kind of pick it up. And then talking to Jacob Kennedy, just about what's going on there, he kind of tipped his hat to Peyton Levy, his teammate, and he said that, hey, he's making some times and doing some strides and doing some things that I was doing as a junior. He's a sophomore, so Jacob's going to be graduating there, so he kind of tipped his hat to the sophomore, and he said, hey, you guys need to watch out for him and look for him in the future. And it's one of those things where we talked about it a little bit last week at the powerlifting. The seniors win those championships, but they're looking back and saying, hey, we've got some more people coming up on this team that are going to be good too. So they're tipping it and looking toward the future and what's going on there for them. So it's a good thing to see.
And jumping over to the girls' side.
Girls, in the field events, Denham Springs just kind of jumped out. I think they had about 100 points coming out of the field events, and they won that title pretty handily with Walker in second. We'll run through to the girls' track MVP was Sylvia White from Live Oak, and then Jaden Bardalis for the boys from Walker. Field MVP was Deshaun McBride from Denham Springs, and the girls' field MVP was Jordan Taylor from Denham Springs. Both of those, that everybody had solid nights there. I think for Sylvia, it was one of those things where I'm trying to get an interview with her, and she had to go check in for an event. It was there was a really quick turnaround for her. We were just discussing, it's one of those things where some of these kids are seniors, and you're sitting there. Remember when you interviewed them for the first time as freshmen, and it's been a big night for her, and I think she was actually the prom queen too. So she's had a pretty good senior year there. But just getting back to the track meet, I know I kind of got off track there, but getting back to the track meet, it's exactly what you said. It's competition all night long throughout the deal. It was really good to see everybody out there at Denham Springs. Nice layout, everything. For the most part, I didn't see any glitches, didn't see any hiccups. Coach McLean is out there kind of running around making sure everything's going. He passed by and kind of give me the eyebrow raise, but things, they don't stop, and that's one of the things that people don't see. To run it smoothly, everything has to work behind the scenes, and for the most part, I think it did. I didn't see any glitches from my standpoint.
Sure. So, just congratulations to Denham, for having their first parish track meet. They've hosted before, but I think usually it was at another school.
Normally it's at Walker when they were able to do it. So this is one of those things where you're able to kind of get out and show what you've got there, and let everybody kind of see what's happening there. And it was really cool to see at the end. It was, hey guys, we can't leave yet. We got to clean up. And so everybody's out there, cleaning in the stands and on the turf and making sure everything's all spick and span for the next day. Because I think they ran the junior high meet the very next night.
Oh wow!
So
So they turned right around and did it again.
correct.
All right. Well, moving into yet another winter sport has wrapped up, and that would be bowling. Unfortunately, Denham girls unable to repeat. Came into I don't know what you would call it. I guess it's a general term in sports. Ran into a buzzsaw in Dutchtown. Went down to Gonzales, competed hard. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we're just looking at it. It was an interesting thing because last year Denham Springs went in as a 6th seed and they're able to win the state championship. This year, I was talking to Mr. William Eunice, the boys coach, and he said that Dutchtown team, who was the number 1 seed, was just one of the more solid teams he had seen during the season, just top to bottom. Just one of those deals. When I talked to Kim Bogan, the coach for the girls at Denham Springs, she just said that their team kind of didn't know what was happening. They lost a few people from last year, so they had to kind of figure out what they had with the new people coming in. But she said they just show up. She called them workhorses. She said they just show up and do what they need to do and get it done. So it's one of those deals. They wound up beating HL Bourgeois 22-5 in the semifinal. It was really solid. Just talked about some of the players here. Dawson had a 186. This is against HL Bourgeois. Dawson with a 186. Audrey Sedetall with a 172. Lauren London with a 152. And Fontenot with a 144. And those scores were kind of in the same range for the final as well. But it's just one of those things where she was really proud of what they were able to accomplish because, like I said, they didn't really know how everything was going to flow together, and it was like I told her, they just figure out ways to win, and that's kind of what they did this time too.
Well, and climbing the ladder is not easy. Congratulations to those ladies. I want a state runner up.
There's a lot of factors that go into that too. There's you have different patterns, different things on the floor, and they can change. From maybe one match to the next, and you have to take that. There's just a lot of different factors that you have to take into account when it comes to bowling, and some things that maybe people don't realize, and it's not. Sometimes it's not as cut and dry as it looks. Sometimes.
Yeah, and that's true. And sometimes, I've only bowled recreationally, but sometimes the pins just don't land the way you want them to.
Correct.
And there's a lot more that goes into bowling than you think, and it all starts with form. And one little slip up can cost you.
That was one of the things that that Coach Bogan had said about Audrey Sedetall. Kind of early on, had to make some tweaks, and then she winds up in her last I guess game for Denham Springs. I think she hit a 214, and she said that was kind of some adjustments that she made during the course of the day to kind of pick that up. So she said it was good for her to go out with that.
Sure. Well, again, congratulations to those ladies on a state runner-up. Nothing to scoff at.
Not at all. Not at all.
So moving into springs, well, we already talked about some spring sports with track and field, but moving into baseball, softball, which of course is in full swing. Pardon the pun. I believe there's about a month left of the regular season.
Just about. We're getting to the I guess the real. It's always a grind, but this is the meat of it. I guess we're getting down to it.
Sure, it's hard to believe it's April. So let's start with some of the baseball. We had a lot of course, it's not 4-5A anymore. It's 5-5A.
Correct.
And a lot of close games over the weekend between Denham Walker and Live Oak. So tell us a little bit about those three teams.
Yeah, this when they get done with the Saturday games, it's kind of you're just kind of shaking your head like, oh my gosh, this is when you get to district. These are the types of games you want to play in. These are the types of games you want to see. I'll start with Live Oak. They get a 3-2 win over Dutchtown in 8 innings. Brock Davis had he singled in the winning run there to get him. Live Oak only had 3 hits, and Davis had 2 of them in that game. So it's one of those deals. Braxton Demopoulos and Jacob Galloway combined to give up 6 hits, and they had 5 strikeouts. But that's just one of those games where I think they'll come back and and they'll go at it again on Tuesday, if I remember correctly. Again, you're spacing out these games, so you play those series, back-to-back games against the same team. So I think they'll go back at it Tuesday and see what's happening there. Walker gets a 5-2 win over EA. Brody Thompson had a 3-run double as part of a 4-run seventh inning for them. So they had to rally late too to get that win. Aiden Johnson, Hayden Pates, and Rhett Patero combined on the pitching duties to help them out there. And then Santa Maria defeats Denham Springs 2-1. Santa Maria got a sacrifice fly with the bases loaded in the seventh to win that one. So and Caleb Klug gave up 4 hits, 3 walks, struck out 3 in 5 innings to get them started there. So like I said, nail biters here.
Yeah.
In this district, in the way this thing is going here, it's makes you want to go out to the park every night and see what's going on, man.
Right. A lot of nail biters, and especially for those larger schools. I'm sure big crowds. A lot of good baseball. So interesting to see these new divisions coming through as well.
Yeah, got to see Live Oak and Denham play early last week, and Denham went up on them. I believe, if I remember correctly, it was 6-0. It winds up 9-3, and that was Denham going on the road to Live Oak. The guy started going early, had a couple of squeeze plays at the plate to get a couple early runs, and then they return the favor on Thursday, come back, and Live Oak winds up beating Denham 4-1 at Denham. So that's that's it in a nutshell. Right now, everybody's beating up on everybody.
Right. So going to be interesting to see how that merry-go-round stops at the end of the season when we're looking for playoff seedings. Could possibly come down to the wire.
That's the way it's sounding right now. You just keep paying attention. We'll see how it plays out.
It's all, especially in baseball, it's always interesting because they usually play more games than other sports. So when you get down to those last few games and it still means who gets in and who doesn't, always exciting.
So exactly where you're at. You got some of you, and you look at some of these games, and we're talking if you get wins at certain points for certain teams, it could mean a significant jump in those power ratings. So every win right now counts.
Sure. So, last but certainly not least, you did cover French Settlement versus Holden softball, and that turned into, well, I'm gonna let you say it, but everybody in the stands and all the players and coaches seem to believe that a certain it had a certain postseason feel,
a flair to it, if you will. It's just some I guess dramatic softball here. You want to play these types of games, and the final winds up being 5-3 for Holden. Holden gets those 2 runs in the top of the 7th. But as you're sitting there, it's got that vibe to it. Both of those teams have been to the postseason. They've been to the tournament, and that's exactly what you were feeling that whole game. And when that last out was recorded, I was standing over by the Holden dugout fixing to go in and start post game, and Rusty Hutchinson, who's the assistant coach with Holden softball, he kind of turned around and pointed to me. He's like, "Playoff softball right there, man." And I was like, so I think he was expressing the thoughts of everybody there in attendance. It's one of those deals where Holden gets a run really quick, that 1-0 lead holds up forever. And then Malloy Miles, who's the pitcher for French Settlement, little 8th grader, shouldn't call her little, but 8th grader, and just she comes up, hits a 2-run home run to put them back ahead. And then it's kind of at one point, I think Casey Bright up from Holden had a big hit to kind of get Holden back into it, and you're sitting there on 3-3 for a little bit, and then you're kind of waiting. So if I remember correctly, I got the notes right here. Let me see. We'll see what happened. I get a leadoff single. Then there's an error on a bunt, and that allowed 1 run to score, and then they wind up getting another run on a pass ball, and that's your ball game. And then they come back, and Taylor Douglas retired the side to get Holden to seal the win for Holden. So those types of games where every little weren't a lot of hits is what we said, but the hits that they did get, they were all crucial hits at crucial times for both teams.
Sure. So congratulations to Holden, but heck of a game.
Then earlier in the week, we'll say this too: French Settlement got a 3-2 win at Doyle, which is it's another team that's been to the tournament as well. So they're like I said, they're gearing up, and it helps that teams in the parish can play each other to get themselves ready for the postseason as well.
Yeah. So and kind of like you said on the baseball side as well, these are the games you want to be in. They get you prepped for the postseason. Finding a way to win.
A lot of good ones.
So, why don't you introduce yourself as we wrap the show up?
Hey, this is Rob DeArmond, sports editor with the Livingston Parish News.
And my name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news. Please remember that this is From the Cheap Seats. It's where I sit down with this gentleman. We talk about what's going on in Livingston Parish athletics. Please remember the news is on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. We are once a week in print on Thursdays. That's $7 a month to get that in your mailbox. We're also online, www.livingstonparishnews.com. We appreciate you joining us, and we're going to see you next time.